Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Come out and find me on Twitter at Clinton Bon. I'm joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz, and find him out on Twitter at SeahawkersPod. Of course, if you're seeing this on YouTube, youtube.com/SeahawkersPodcast, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're still growing the Hawkra. Brandon, even in this loss, we're growing the Hawkra.
Although the Hawkra is not strong enough for you to remember your adapter doodad, and so now you sound like you're coming in from a hotel bathroom in this live show.
Fairly accurate. I'm actually at a condo, an Airbnb in Siesta Key, Florida. I fly home tomorrow, and I'm basically sitting next to porcelain. I'm not in the bathroom, which is good, but this is like a porcelain top, so it's all echoey. I brought my blue snowball, and I like this guy. And I have a newer Mac, and I got this thing, right? But I forgot the adapter so that I could go into my new Mac, my newer Mac. So this is the audio we have to deal with. Kind of like the Seahawks yesterday, Brandon. Not out of the gate with the intent that I think we wanted us to get going with.
No. So do you have someone who's going to bring in the adapter at halftime, and then like in the third quarter, you're going to be like really close to plugging it in, but then you fumble it. And then all of a sudden things kind of come together by the time we get to the flock at the end of the show?
Yeah, that's the exact game plan, because apparently that was our game plan yesterday, was do none of the good things we've been doing all year until the start of the second half. And then
this was all part of the plan. This was just a microcosm of the game on Sunday.
It's a mirror image, if you will. It's the two sides of the same coin, the sober yin, the raging yang, if we dare, right, Brandon? So for those, look at Ryan, our Ryan 911 with the 999, our executive live producer. Lots of ins for sure yesterday. Looking forward to the nooks and the crannies. Well, thank you, Ryan. He's always here with us, which is super cool. And again, hopefully you folks are out there and you're enjoying, you're out there just listening to this live, because doing it live on Facebook, doing it live out to YouTube it's more fun. We get the live things like Gambling Goat here, Brandon, right? What did he say? Gambling Goat said.
Gambling Goats and giving the out to the whole game. We got Jacob Haas here giving it out to the big time zone defense. Or difference, yeah.
The
time zone difference. Oh yeah, getting up at especially for our folks in Alaska, who they really had to stretch and get up at what, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, something like that.
That's egregious. Especially when you could have taken the whole first half off, right? Like we talked about.
I wish I would have slept in.
I know, like Adam had the right idea apparently, right? So smart man that he is. Listen to the live reaction show today, and I enjoyed that very much. It's 3 in, 3 out, so we're not going to talk about the mega things. We're going to talk about the smaller things, of course. And with that, I rewatched this whole game. A couple things just quickly off the top for me, Brandon, was like, number one, I think you and Adam nailed it. This field was, we all know the field was crap, but it was really crap in like bad situations. Like that 3rd and 10 late in the game where Brooks almost blows out a knee trying to cut back across. And I think it's I'm not sure if it was Godwin or whoever it was, but gets that crucial third down with about 7 minutes to go instead of getting the ball back.
Right.
Just terrible. The field's horrible. And
it did work out for us in one big moment when Tom Brady just decided to fall down on his face.
Yeah, but
and
not really.
Tariq Woolen came up with the pick.
Not really, because whether Tom Brady
that would have happened anyway. That wasn't the field. That was Tom Brady being very unathletic.
I would actually pin it on Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette's the one who threw the ball, and that was a terrible throw. And Brady was funny running, of course. Wow, Nate Dwyer. Why don't you take that one, Brandon?
Nate Dwyer coming in. Happy to be listening live. Appreciate you guys. Go Hawks with the 1999 super chat. Appreciate that, Nate.
Dude, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you hear us interrupting ourselves on the audio later, well, that's because we're doing this live and we got people super chatting and we want to holler at them, right? But it is.
And Clinton hasn't quite figured out the mastery of finishing his sentence and then going to the thing that's distracting him on the screen. It'll take some time. We'll get there. We're early with this live stuff.
Maybe we get there. Maybe we don't. Zero promises with that, Brandon. If there's one person I cut off the most in this world, it's myself. So I definitely do that quite a bit. I'm aware of that. And it's funny. And with that, yeah, man, the grass was, but you guys talked about how slow we kind of looked.
Right.
And that showed up in other places too. And we'll talk about some of those things because it was like slowness across the board. The game looked a little bit like it was being like you're running in water. You can't get those kind of dreams where you can't run the pace you want to run, and really a nightmare at that point. And the other thing that is not going to show out in 3 and 3 out, but where the heck did our play action and our boots and things that have worked for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, we didn't really do them. And that was
you want to know why? Because they never got the run game going. How are you going to make some of those boots work?
Yeah, well, I mean, even 13 personnel didn't really show up, right?
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't show up.
We didn't see a lot of that either, right? We didn't see.
I was baffled by that, thinking back to it.
It was interesting. So it is 3 and 3 out. We go to 6 and 4. We don't get the W. So we got a job to do. We got to start with the out. Why don't we just dive right in and let's hit the whammy and let's accept what happened. Let's rock and roll. All right. Okay. Well, it is. I'm going to take a sip. Here we are.
All right.
Thank you. All right. So 3 and 3 out. Out number 1. This is a lot of these outs to me, Brandon, were like early. And yes, the second half was better, so that makes sense. But they were just pissing me off. Here's one right here. So Q1 0-0. It's 5:20 to go. This is one of the ones where Michael Dixon booms the friggin' ball, right? So, and the start of our game was so good defensively. 3 and outs, and just we're looking good, and Brooks is flying, and we got Brady flustered, and it's 0-0, and we punt the ball. And in this particular instance, this is also after, by the way, the ridiculous Damian Lewis penalty for blocking that they called on him, which I was like, he's just blocking a dude, I feel like.
Right.
And then we died, that drive stalls out. Okay.
But hey, while we're on the topic of that, the part that led to the punt was the fact that, okay, they get backed up. It's 3rd and 21, but then they hit Noah Fant for a 15-yard play, and then you're only 6 yards away from the first down, and you're in a nothing game. The defense have been playing so well to that point. You not go for it there?
I agree. That was it all kind of like parlays into why this one stood out to me so much as being like double crappy with you. It's like we've been aggressive in weeks past, and it's still Tom Brady, even though we got out to the type of game we wanted to play to start the first quarter defensively. It's still Tom Brady, and he showed up in a pretty big way. It was annoying, right? Because he got really accurate on third downs later, and he made some phenomenal throws that just burnt us later. So I'm with you. That was number 1. Was like, gosh, I wish we went for it there. We don't. We're executing a good punt. On this particular punt, this is the one where it's bouncing, and our special teams captain, Nick Bellore, allows it to hit. He's behind the ball. And the ball is trickling down towards the goal line, looking like it's going to bounce, maybe get within the 5-yard line. And he lets it hit his hand at the 12. I'm at a bar in Siesta Key, Florida, and there's not really that many people there yet because it's like 9:40 in the morning, whatever it is. And I'm like screaming. I'm like, what's he doing? Like, why is he? You got like 3 Seahawks flanking it behind already, right? They're there. Mm-hmm. There's no reason whatsoever to get that close to the ball. You have 3 dudes behind it going back towards the goal line, and he lets it hit his hand, and it rolls forward. They bring it back to the 12.
I thought he chest bumped it when I first saw it.
Hits his hand. It just taps his hand, but it doesn't tap his hand where he's like punching it forward. He just lets it clip his hand,
right?
But it was still rolling forward. So it was things like this that really, really brought out my ire, Brandon. So first big out, Nick Bellore, who's our special teams captain. You can't be in that position. He's out. Number 1 says.
Yeah. Well, he's the veteran. He should know better. Unlike the player who I called out in the post-game show, Derek Young, when it was pinned down on the 2 for that very last drive by the Bucs. If you just get a little bit closer, and then you don't allow them to take 3 knees to end the game. Like Brady had just enough room to take that 3rd knee, and I don't know if he does. If you just let it roll 1 yard closer to the end zone. And it's not like in that particular moment that you have anything to lose by it going into the end zone. Like, you allow that to get as close as possible. And so, yeah, to have this variance, and really, what was that? One of the first punts of the game, and then Derek Young on one of the last punts of the game. It just, for special teams overall, as good as it was for Dixon, for Jason Myers, it was some of these coverage type issues. And, we can't call out DJ Dallas every week.
We can't. We'll leave that to the front of the flock because there's some of that there. Didn't make the outs, but it was, we talked about on What If, you were like, you wanted a special teams, bonanza basically, and we kind of got the opposite. It was some people were glorious, like Myers 55-yarder, and Dixon was great, but the supporting cast around the leads of special teams weren't very good, and that was concerning. So that's the first out. There were lots of ins. Why don't we hop to one and get this ship righted somewhat? Okay. Quarter one, again, early stuff. 9:41 to go. Still a 0-0 game. The Bucs are at the Seattle 35-yard line. It's 2nd and 15. And this time Brady's in shotgun. Leonard and Fournette is just kind of flanked to Brady's left. This particular play is a quick dump off to Fournette. Not so much a screen, just a little out of the flat, behind the line of scrimmage thing.
Yeah.
And what was really nice here was Cameron Brate goes to block Woolen, so he's engaging Woolen, and then you just get this veracity, speed, recognition, and Cody Barton makes a hell of a play here. He just steps up, sheds his dude. Brate actually tries, because he disengages Woolen, tries to get back to Barton, which is tough. He's got like a 2-on-1 assignment to block, so he's doing an admirable job. And Barton has having nothing of it, right? Just blows past Brate. And then him and Tariq clean this up for a tackle for a loss. Really nice play. Really Barton had a couple of warts and he had a couple of shining moments.
Yep.
There was sometimes where Barton was doing that thing where there's a runner coming to the hole, and instead of going to the hole, he straight up just engages the blocker, as opposed to taking a step to where the runner's coming. Which is a little infuriating, but I don't want to turn it into an out. Barton made some nice plays early, and I thought he continued to play a pretty darn good game. So this particular one, given that first in to Cody Barton, I thought he played pretty well overall.
Yeah, ignoring how he did in run defense, let's highlight the positive and focus on his pass defense. He actually, according to PFF, he was the highest graded in coverage on the day. He got an 81.8 grade in coverage. Also the third highest in terms of tackling. So he didn't have any missed tackles, 7 tackles on the day, 3 stops, which was good for third on the team behind Jordan Brooks and Bruce Irvin. So yeah, a solid day overall. And it was a play like that really highlighted both the tackling and his coverage ability that day, apart from the interception, of course.
Yeah, and I wonder, the PFF grades are always at least interesting. They're cool. They tend to support. I don't go look at them. So usually
I only bring them up if it backs up what you're talking about.
Thank you. So, validating my priors I celebrate the entire collection when you do that. Excellent job. And with that, I do wonder how much of a bump he gets when a player makes an interception like that.
Yeah.
How much is it such a huge, because I know sometimes when you're the player on the other end, you throw a pick or something like that, or you're the guy who fumbles, it really, really dings you the other way. So yeah. I wonder what the throttle is, but
it definitely, it shows up high in the plus column, especially if it has a high degree of difficulty, which I think that interception that he got, it was.
Nice pick. Definitely a nice pick. And that was a timely moment that the picks that we got us back in the game. Absolutely, for sure. All right, Brandon, take that one.
Ryan comes in. I think you're right. I think Cody is being pretty unfairly criticized based mostly just on stuff he was doing several games ago. I think it's pretty fair. I feel like we're fair to give him kudos when he deserves it and then criticize him when he needs it. This game wasn't perfect for him, but we can highlight the good things and say, Cody has the potential. Let's just see him do it consistently.
Yes, that'd be nice. But this was a tale of two halves in many ways. All right, we got that was an in. So we're celebrating that. Let's get to another one of these kind of gnarly outs.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, this one. So we talked about run defense, and you look at the average for the Bucs, like was like 3.7 per carry or something like that. So that's
Was it
not
that
great.
low?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Oh,
I know it doesn't seem like that, right? That's kind of the point. They didn't average that much YPC, yet they were quite effective at this. And the what we talked about on What If was like, well, kind of how do we know if things are going wrong? And it was like, well, they're running the ball, and Brady's not throwing it 58 times, and it's kind of exactly what we got, unfortunately. And we just didn't seem ready for we didn't seem ready for this. We didn't seem ready to um, uh, expect them to break their tendencies, and that's
right.
exactly what they did. They went away from tendencies, and we were
Well,
not ready for it.
I
And
mean, did they go away from it, or did we allow them? Like they just kept doing what was working for them early on.
I think they went away from their tendencies a little bit. A little bit. I
Or
do.
was it a strategic thing? I see
Oh,
people
totally.
pointing out the fact that Brian Monet was
Right.
the healthy scratch, and it was Miles Adams, your guy that, or our guy, Miles
Yes.
Adams, that was inserted into the lineup and did not have a spectacular day.
And they asked him to do what they asked him to go play nose, right? And then the Bucs ran at him, and that's not going to be his strength. Whereas a couple of weeks ago, we're like pound the table, being like, if Miles Adams is playing this game on 3rd and long, let him go do the thing that he's really really good at, which is go get internal pressure and get after the quarterback. So it was a bit of a misuse, across the board there. And one talk about like use or abuse. This particular play, this out, Brandon, this one was to me, we talk about the microcosms, the nooks. It is Q1, 0-0 ball game. Tampa Bay's dead smack at midfield. Okay. 50-yard line, they got the ball. It's only 46 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Another 3rd and 2. And where they converted on 3rd and shorts, we did not. We had some challenges there. But on this particular play, Tampa has trips right. So they're taking the play out of our book.
Mhm.
Trips right. On this play, it's really unfortunate to go watch that Quentin Jefferson, he gets basically owned by, let me know if you know this guy, Ko Kieft. It is
All right.
Tampa's 3rd string tight end. So they got trips tight ends out there. So probably like our Parkinson, right?
Right.
Smaller, way smaller dude.
Yeah. And we've
And
heard his name before.
yeah, maybe, right? And Keith just buries Jefferson, and Jefferson's a much bigger guy. And to me, it just was such like a moment of like, hey, if they can do that and move our bigger body dudes, and then I think it was Fournette, it might have been Rashad White, doesn't really matter, but there was just a beautifully big hole blown out right there. Jefferson had no shot. And that was that. It's an easy first down, and then they go on that particular drive. They carry that forward, and then they get a field goal to make it 3-0 to start the game, right? That's how they. Oh no, that's actually they missed.
That was
Sorry,
the touchdown. Yeah.
yeah, that's later where Jones is open for that pretty brutal touchdown, right? From
That
like
was
30.
that same drive, the 31-yarder that looked exactly like the DeAndre
Yes.
Hopkins touchdown
Yep,
from a week
and
ago.
that was a 3rd and 10 when Jones scored that play, by the way, which is just like, oh man. So that's the out for me. If you got QGF going against a smaller tight end in an obvious run situation, and he's getting blown off the ball, no bueno, Brandon. That's the out.
Yeah, Jefferson on the day. I didn't look at his PFF, but he didn't have any standout type plays from what I remember. It was, and really, I mean, that goes for a lot of the defensive line. I mean, apart from, gosh, who was Bruce Irvin? I felt like he was effective on defense. Shelby Harris,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed him on a few different plays.
Oh yeah.
Quentin Jefferson on the day, yeah, not a solid day. He had 2 total pressures, which I guess was good enough for second because there were 6 total pressures on the day. 3 of them. Okay, your 3 pressures came from Al Woods to lead the team. Quentin Jefferson at number 2, Shelby Harris with 1. And I mean, that just goes to show you, like, as far as defensive line and pass rush, Bruce Irvin wasn't getting there. Uchenna Nwosu wasn't getting there. And I know this was for the particular play for Jefferson, but I guess you give him a little bit of credit for having the second most pressures on the day.
I mean, yes, that sounds nice. That sounds nice.
That was a big third down, though. And yeah, make that stop. And then we're not talking about that Julio Jones touchdown.
Like just 2 plays later, the quarter ends and then it's like second down. And then Q Jeff makes a great play 2 plays later, like not tackle for a loss, but right at the line. Yeah. So, it's not like he played poorly and one play, is the tail of the tape for him for the entire match. It's just the moment, and it's just the thing of like a smaller tight end blowing our dudes off in the middle. It's like not good enough, not good enough. Shelby Harris, you mentioned him earlier. We're not going to talk about him. However, his one pressure was huge. He kind of gets held. It's Brady's in the end zone, and they have to punt it back right before the half.
He was livid about because I didn't see if the hold was in the end zone, but
it wasn't. No, Brady was in the end zone, but the hold itself was
happened
like
before.
Good.
So it wouldn't have been 2 points, but it still would have. It would have kept them backed up.
Yeah, and they ended up punting anyway, and then we struggled there as well. So, but that was but Shelby got through at that point. Well, it's like dudes, it's like Nuosu and then the whole crew on the outside. It's just there's no time. The ball's gone. Right. So we talked about that, and it kind of came to fruition. It is, and
they would have had more opportunities to pass rush if they would have stopped the run, which they weren't doing.
Yeah, way too many third and shorts, and then we did give up several 3rd and 10s also. So it was just a bit sloppy, a bit a bit choppy for sure. And I know you and Adam talked about that too. We got more. There is more good. Let's
get back to the good. I'm tired of talking about the bad.
Let's get to the good. Let's do it. Let's get to that good. Oh, where are we on this good one? So yeah, okay. This one's simple. This is our middle good. It's not like the middle child. We got Marcia and Jan, the Jan of the ends, right? So no offense, Jan, but the middle child here. Quarter 2, 3:01 to go. 14-0 Bucs. Yikes. We get stopped at our own 27-yard line on 3rd down. I think it was an out. We were trying something down the sidelines. We have to punt. This is when Big Balls Dixon unleashes a 72-yard punt, 72-yarder to flip the field here. And this is what then leads to, we were just talking about Shelby Harris. We got a 3 and out. We get the ball back in really good position. So this particular punt, man, this is 72 yards, Big Balls Dixon. He was great. I know we're talking about special teams on the ins and the outs. That's what we do here, first of all. And we haven't talked much Dixon this year, but he was one of the stars for sure. And then 72-yarder, the ball was down like the 3.5-yard line. He was kicking the ball from like, I don't know, Brandon. He was punting it from like, I think we're on our 27. So he's kicking it from like the 17 or something like that, where he actually boots it. Like, that's pretty insane. So that's huge.
It was huge. An enormous punt. It was like he saw Nick Bellore run into the football in that first quarter, and then he was like, okay, I'm just going to do this myself, right? Well, like Pedro Serrano, right? Screw you, Joe Boo. I'm going to do this myself. That's it. And hits the home run. And that's what he did in this situation. Michael Dixon punts it. It goes out of bounds. You don't have to worry about someone touching it or not. It's just they're at the 4-yard line.
He just did the magical all-pro, Michael Dixon things. And not to turn it into an out, we get the 3 and out right after that, right? So we get the Shelby Harris play we just talked about. There was a nice tackle right before that. And then their punter, he's the dude from Georgia, right? I think I'm pretty sure I think he's really good too.
Yeah. We had a very European punting competition. I feel like, well, not European, but a European style.
Yes.
Just as they appreciate the football over there, we showed off some punting skills challenges.
Yeah, and who wasn't very skilled is the Tampa Bay punter, who I think is again a rookie from Georgia, booms the ball from the end zone. And this is the one where Dallas fair catches it with like
you're turning the end of the out. I remember this play.
But
we all do.
It's these little things that like it's like, dude, like at one time he lets the ball bounce, the next time he's doing fair catch, and there's like 6-7 yards, and the the guy's got to break down, and he probably just go north for maybe 5, 10, 15 yards, and we haven't scratched the point yet. It's just like, Brandon, I was pissed.
You know who I kind of want to see return punts?
Tyler Lockett,
Michael Dixon.
just because he could do it all himself.
Don't you think that he would be a good one? I feel like if you're a good punter, you should be a good punt returner, because you know the tricks from the one end. And so, I mean, we've seen Dixon run the ball. He can catch it, obviously, well enough to catch a snap on that long, the long punter snap to the punter. He's got the good hands. I guarantee you he's going to be better than DJ Dallas.
He might be, but your logic, I'll say, is a little flawed, because we've seen Tom Brady throw to wide receivers, but yet Tom Brady wasn't a great wide receiver. So just it may not be a 1-for-1 is all I'm saying. It might not be a 1-for-1. So although Dixon at this age is probably a little more athletic than Brady. Oh, I like that from Ryan 911. Let Drew Lock return punts. I mean,
give him something to do.
Maybe, he's clipboard Jesus the entire time, right? So, all right, Brandon, we got what? One more? No, that was an in. Oh, Christ. All right, we got one more out. Let's do it. It's a loss when, right? ...
I don't know why you're going to Dallas. You still had one more full out to give, and you snuck in the out to DJ Dallas in the last in when you're giving it to Dixon.
This one's too important, and it is 3 and 3 out. So I want to call out these. This game was so winnable. Again, on the rewatch, I was like, we could have won this. Game. This one I think is pretty near and dear, right? So this is quarter 2. Again, still first quarter mistakes. Quarter 2. 14-0. We got the ball. I think it's our own 40-yard line. 45 seconds to go. This is the 3rd and 1. Kenneth Walker kind of tiptoe through the tulips. Mm-hmm. Right now, granted, he gets the ball. There's not a lot there. It's not like there's a giant hole. We understand this. The challenge is, and we know he's a rookie. The challenge is, it doesn't matter. It's 3rd and 1. You got to know just where the sticks are. Get the ball and just freaking plunge forward as quick as you can. What was it, 2 weeks ago versus the Chargers, or maybe even the Cardinal game? He was actually getting like some flack for like, oh, he just ran to the back of the dude. He was like kind of shooting out of the backfield, full speed with the ball. And maybe it wasn't the right time to do that, but he showed he obviously can do it.
Right.
In this particular case, he gets, about 1.5 yards before the line of scrimmage, and then he just breaks down and stops, and there's nothing there. And it was just frustrating, Brandon, that it's like, he's powerful enough. If he just plows in right dead center, and there's probably some scrum, he probably gets that, and then a little enough to move the chains. Super, super frustrating, because again, it was just these moments where we're down, we haven't scored yet. The drives were okay, and then they fall apart for one reason or another. And this was another reason that we just kind of got dead in the water. So as much as Ken Walker has been really good this year, and he's probably still, offensive rookie of the year, certainly a candidate, and probably still in the lead, I'm giving him the out again. He ends up on the out ledger a lot, which I don't think is too shocking given that he's a rookie in what is a pretty complex offense.
Okay, well, we just have to remember him for when he does do the in-worthy things to recognize him, because there's a couple excuses that I could make for Walker, especially with it being the first half. One, I don't think the Seahawks equipment staff did well enough to set them up for success, to have them in the right equipment for the first half. They had to change into longer cleats. Walker had to change into longer cleats for the second half. So this is one of those moments where if you are unsure and you need to be able to plant your foot and go, and you're worried that you might slip because you've been slipping all day on the field up to this point, then yeah, it's going to cause you to hesitate a little bit. Also, I think at this point in the second quarter too, they had done enough of those, runs where they have pulling guards and pulling tackles and pulling tight ends and pitches to the outside, to where, yeah, just pound it right up the middle. And yeah, he should know that that's where he has to go to. Part of it is on the play calling to just go, hey, straight up, go straight, shoot, maybe even do a quarterback sneak in this situation, because they needed a drive, or they needed to continue a drive here. This wasn't an opportunity to try and score before the half.
Yep.
And they couldn't get it done.
It would have been huge to get something going, because we'll talk about the second half in a second here. And with that, like on What If, I talked about like trying to get to the edges and trying to avoid Vita Vea and that whole thing. And I think I was okay in philosophy, and I was wrong in execution, and especially back on like this kind of track, meaning the field. Like it was slower. Like we're trying to get to the outside when the track is clearly slippery and slower, gives all the speed advantages right back to the other team. And that's what it seemed to do. So it was frustrating that we didn't really think to use the middle of the field until we got to that second half. And I will say before we get to that last in, what was kind of nice is we had to play catch-up ball. And instead of seeing Homer and Dallas in the catch-up ball scenario, it was Walker, and he was showing that he could catch the ball and hey, just like if he gets it handed off to him in space, he had a nice spin move down the sideline, a couple of jukes. He was quite good in terms of receiving. So that was kind of cool to see. Like he should and could be the 2 minute and 4 minute back also. So when they want to get into those hurry ups, it should just be Walker now. He's more dynamic anyway. No matter how he gets the ball, he's the better back. So that was at least a nice silver lining, Brandon. So we going.
We turned the one out into an in for Walker and his catching ability that we got to see in this game. It's a 4-in show, people.
We're celebrating. We have a bye week. We're not going to do this for a week, so I've got to get him in where I can. All right, let's get to the last real in. The only cool part about losing, no, it's still never cool to lose. Let's just get to the end. It's fine. I can't even say it with a straight face. I can't finish that thought. It wouldn't be authentic.
This one better be good. I mean, we had to weigh in through multiple outs, an in that turned into an out. So I feel like finishing strong with a really solid in that doesn't turn it. We can save whatever other outs we have. We can save it for the flock.
We got from the flock. There's plenty of outs there. So this will be all in. Okay, this will be the definition of all in. The whole thing for me is I want to focus on the first two drives of the second half. This is the only negative thing I'll say, is that they only resulted in 3 points, and we know why, right? But if we tether those together with the other two touchdown drives, like that, this is why when I rewatched the game, I was like, oh crap, we could have won this, because all 4 drives in the second half, not that they were absolute guarantees. The Goodwin play is phenomenal to get that on fourth down anyway. What a throw, what a catch. But all 4 drives were touchdown capable drives, moving the ball with incredible fluidity. On the field goal one, we stall a little bit. We get that the 15-yard penalty. That's fine too. We make the kick. The fumble one, that's the best looking drive of the day up until that point. We're just moving. And what I liked about it was, it was frustrating because it was like you guys talked about, you and Adam talked about, and we maybe touched about it on What If, about like, do we really have to run so that we could pass? Do we really have to? Do we really have to against this team? And then in the second half where we had to come back, we didn't run to pass. We passed with Disley, Fant, and then used the outsides to Metcalf and Lockett, and then we went back to the inside. And then, by the way, lo and behold, on those drives, we start to pass the ball. Then we're running counters and little things inside, and Walker is moving the chains at that point. It's the best he looked all game. So I just want to give some love to that 4 drives.
Well, he was catching passes, though. I think they maybe ran the ball.
He ran a couple of first downs in the second, like the first drive of the second half, and the next drive of the next drive after that too.
That's true. He did have 2. Well, it was right before the fumble. Yeah, he had 2.
Yeah. It just looked the most, but it was passed to set up the run. So I just want to, go into this bye week, regather, and then go play what is a bad Raiders team right now, and don't F around. Don't get cute that we have to run this up the pass. No, we don't. We can play it both ways. So don't do the thing that the other team is better at. Like
Yeah.
we played into their hands. So just do the opposite. Raiders can't do crap. Let Geno dictate the game, and then Walker will go off anyway. And we didn't get there this time. But the
It's
end
one of the
is
great things that we've seen about Geno. So if I can put my hat into Geno for the end, yeah, I know he had the fumble, but I mean, let's give it to Geno for being able to, when the defense is stacking up against the run, like they're choosing that because they know that Ken Walker could, if he's going to have a day, it's lights out for them.
Mhm.
So they're going to focus everything they have on stopping Walker. And that Geno, even when he's under pressure, I mean, what was his? He finished the day with a quarterback rating over 110.
Yep.
And so with the pressure that they were getting on Geno, with what they were doing as far as locking up the run, and had Geno playing from behind in that second half, and yeah, all 4 of those drives, he had the team in position to be able to win that game if they execute in just a couple of plays in that second half. If a couple of plays flipped differently, it could have been, a 28-point second half.
Yeah, we win that game, 26-21 or something like that, right? Whatever it breaks down with 2-point conversion.
I mean, Brady probably has the ball at the end of the game, and it turns out maybe a little bit differently, but instead of running out the clock. But it looks a whole lot different if you don't have that fumble. And if you don't have he completes one of those passes in that first drive coming out of the half.
And to your point, to give a little more love to Geno too, that fourth down, the first fourth down throw, which is to Lockett, right? Like I think that was maybe it was third down to Lockett, but that's a hell of a throw. I mean, he is under pressure immediately, back foot, just 13 yards downfield, strike to Lockett. And then the fourth down touchdown, the Goodwin it's a phenomenal, even the pass just before that to Noah Fant, where Noah Fant barely couldn't get, that second toe tap down. It's a hell of a ball, so I hope there was enough. I want Carroll to lean into allowing him to go just look at our next 3 games, right? Was it Raiders, Rams,
Niners?
Else? Oh, I think it's Niners the 4th one, I think.
Oh, Carolina and then Niners.
Yep. So, after the bye, Raiders, Rams, Carolina. These are not very good football teams. Let Geno be the lead out on these, and then you'll still get the gift of Walker later. So that's my biggest hope coming out of this is they realize that, and they don't kind of waste a half next time on that. So that's what I'm at, Brandon. Hey, anything else from you that stood out one way or the other? Things that you didn't get to talk about last night?
No, I think that, you covered it pretty well in just how close this game could have been.
Yeah.
It felt like it was, still to me, the fact that they were able to run the ball so effectively, that to me was just where I think most of my frustration was with the defense. And against a team that had so little success, it was, I guess, one of the things that was most unexpected for me, that with the way that things have been going over these last few weeks, that's where this defense struggled.
That was, I agree. That was the biggest disappointment. And I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know why. I'm not sure it's the field. I'm not sure if it's the configuration of the defense that we decided to put out there. No Brian Monet. We'll see. We'll just see what happens these next few weeks. It's not the worst loss. Would have been a lot more acceptable and palpable if the Chargers could hold on to a lead versus the Niners. They could not. But hey, let's end on a positive for this part before we get to From the Flock and say the Russell Wilson-led Broncos scored 10 points and lost again to go to 3-7 now. So that's cool.
I think that part of the reason why by the time that we got to the post-game show after Adam had his chance to watch the game, why I wasn't in such a bad mood, it's because I had just watched the Broncos lose, and I know that we are that much closer to a better draft pick. And as we get into the flock, if you want to become a member of the flock, you can go to getintheflock.com, become a member of our Discord group with a donation of $3 a month or above, or you can get into our Facebook Ring of Honor group at $12 and above. And yeah, if you just want to help support the show and provide us with the ins and the outs, you can do so on Twitter. You can tweet at Clinton Bond and use the hashtag 3i30. And you can show up live like Taylor Wales is doing, saying in perspective, Chiefs 7-2, Ravens 6-3, Titans 6-3, Dolphins, he corrected himself saying 7-3 in a subsequent post here, Bucs 5-5, Seahawks 6-4. We are in the mix.
100% in the mix. And, hey, Bills 4-4. I was 6-4, right?
Yeah.
This is the team that was all but coronated, in September, which, by the way, don't know if folks don't watch the NFL seasons don't end in September. So all the Bills hubbub, and they're still good. They're still very good, in fact.
Oh yeah. They had an opportunity to win that game against the Vikings too. That
They
was
should
a
have
big
won
time
that
game.
Yeah, they should have won the last couple of weeks. But with that, it's a funky thing, and you gotta be able. It was bugging me so much because I got some very good friends who are Bills fans, and some of them were acting as if it was a fait accompli that they had this year.
Right.
Like, man, this is a tough season, long season, and there's way more competition than meets the eye. If you're watching a team in September, and then things evolve, and then you see who's who, in November and December, and then things really shake out. So we are in the middle of it. This wasn't like a 27-7 thrashing. If we play the Niners in 4 weeks and we still get waxed, then I'll have a moment to be like, all right, I'm not sure we actually can go toe to toe with that team. That'll be something. Mm-hmm. I will throw the first one out the door week 2. It just doesn't, I don't think, reflect where we're at. At that point, we're 6-4. We need to win at least 2 of the next 3. And frankly, we should win all 3, and we should be in a really nice spot. So we'll see how we're doing. But we are in front of the flock, Brandon, which is always a nice spot. Always a nice spot to get this. And we do go to the Discord first. I'll start with Karkar. Karkar says, out, waking up to a Tampa Bay touchdown. That's got to be a rotten feeling, right? You're like, I'm a little late to the game. Let's just see what's going on. Yuck.
Yeah, it was nothing, Karkar, until you decided to wake up and start watching. So if anyone's to blame, we can send a little bit of it Karkar's way.
Sounds about right.
She knows I'm joking. All right. Chris Boucher, a.k.a. Bobby Boucher, out. DJ Dallas calling for a fair catch when nobody was within 10 yards of him. Is there nobody else that can return punts?
Right. We're calling Michael Dixon.
We gave 2 suggestions already, Chris. Yeah. Drew Lock and Michael Dixon. There's
Michael
2.
Dixon, yeah. And I know others. I think Phil, Mr. Protector himself, Phil the Protector, has called for Tariq Woolen.
Oh, I thought maybe Phil, he could do it.
Yeah, man. hey, Phil could watch a ball bounce too. I tell you, he can. All right, we got Jimbo also in the Discord. In K9 trying to block for Gino on a busted play. Q3, 12-ish minutes left. Got a couple of yards. So Jimbo, listen, what I love about Jimbo, getting into the nooks and crannies and pulling out a singular play and giving some love to K9, who he still has some struggles in pass pro, but calling out a good moment for the rookie, and that's cool.
Karkar giving some special teams love to Myers, giving him the in for not giving a catfish about the 15-yard penalty and it being automatic.
Yeah, 55-yarder when we needed it, right through, which is super cool. All right, we got Jason Bonnert also in the Discord. More Ken Walker blocking love in. Ken Walker improving in the pass blocking game. It hasn't been perfect, but it's much better. That's a nice and balanced look at that. And again, I think, Brandon, it just kind of leads to we'll probably just see more and more and more of K9 on the field in a true 3-down fashion as the year even grows on.
All right, we got, let's see, who's next here with the in. I lost it. Why don't you take this next one? Oh, here it is. No, I was looking at another window, and now I got it back.
It's okay. It's okay.
Design Pete's Beach House, Amy with the out. Equipment team for not getting better cleats.
Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting. I listened to Matty F. Brown and team on the Seahawks Overload, and I forget his name, Griffin, right? So the other, there's Ty.
Yeah, Griffin is his name.
Yeah, there's Ty and Griffin and Maddie. And Griffin actually said that Seattle is actually known in the NFL circles to purposely wearing shorter cleats, but as a decision. And it's not to be less or better with sliding. It is to prevent knee injuries. And that Seattle actually has a kind of a philosophical position about wearing shorter cleats. And I think in this particular, which is interesting, I never heard that, right? So, and those guys tend to know their stuff. So I don't think they're throwing it out there without knowing something.
That seems like a weird thing to make up.
Right, exactly. You exactly right. That'd be a weird thing to be called out on later for making up as a lie, right? But that was the first time I heard that. But at least it was an explanation as to why they do that. Yeah, why they do that, and if that's a trade-off to not have CLs being blown out for the one time I got to go to Germany where it's a ripped up soccer field, then I guess so be it, right? Right. That's what it'll be. All right, we got Travis Homer's Odyssey in the Discord. Out, going to Germany, but leaving the 13 personnel playbook in Washington. Not even trying that play that works every time we run it. I mean, he's right. Where was the bread and butter?
Yeah, I mean, we all know about watch the bootleg. We got to see from
the boot. We talked
about the boot. Yeah, that was the highlight from the Cardinals. What was the in-season Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't get to see it, and maybe it was intentional, feeling like it was a little bit overused, but at the same time, there's other plays in that playbook where you have 3 tight ends out on the field.
Right.
And I would have liked to see more of those run plays in 3 tight end sets, and we didn't see it. And I don't necessarily understand why.
That's something I didn't get a chance to listen to too many pressers yet, and I'm not sure it was asked.
Yeah,
but it'd be cool to understand it. Like I'd like somebody to ask that question, like even to Waldron, like where did 13 personnel go? Like it's been a staple. You got like Brian Baldinger every single week doing his Baldy breakdowns, like salivating over 13 personnel because I mean he's a lineman at heart and what he's done in his whole career. And basically then you got 8 linemen essentially, right? So it's kind of his jam. So where did it go? I do want to get that answered. I want someone to answer why no 13 personnel. So I think it's a great question by Travis there.
Dr. G with the triple outs, rushing defense, atrocious, running offense, 39 yards.
Yikes.
Out, damn fumble in the red zone on a must-score situation.
It was the biggest deflator, right? I mean, because we came out, we get the 3, and it's like
the gift of the interception from Leonard Fournette.
we get the ball back, right? With that thing, and then we're driving, and it looks so crisp, it looks so good, and then to kind of give it back, it was a big deflator. Is what it is. Dr. G has nailed it though. 3 outs in frustrating fashion, and I get it. All right, Frost brought a different angle here. He went with 3 different ins. So the sober yin, the raging yang. Frost says in. There is 0% give up in Gino and 0% give up in this team. That's an in for good coaching. In. Overall defense held the Buccaneers to 3 scores, had created 2 huge turnovers, 2 3-and-outs, and out the offense. I'm misreading that. Position, come back to okay. Basically saying the last thing he's saying is put the offense in position to try and make the comeback. So second half defense, way better than first half defense. So totally get what you're getting at there, Frost.
And put the offense in position.
Right, and put the offense. Okay, so yes, gotcha. Put the offense. And Brandon, I even put my peepers on.
You have it. You have the glasses on. It was just a typo in the.
Gotcha. Frost. Okay, phew. I was going to say these are not for show, folks. I can't see well, so these actually work. And his last one, he goes in. Defense allowed 7 total points after that Bruce Irvin sideline speech. That was pretty fun, right? Seeing the 35-year-old veteran on the sideline, just kind of getting the dogs together and making sure his voice was heard. And there was a response, and we did play better. So 3 ins from Frost, and I think it's a worthy reflection on a tough loss, but things were not that bad.
Yeah, it reminds you that it's kind of cool to have one member left from that
Yeah,
original Legion of Boom defense still on this team, right?
absolutely.
Boys, biceps in. I kept my vacation day for tomorrow, even though my trip to Munich got canceled. Gonna need the day for this hangover.
Yeah, yeah. I started early yesterday too. I know you were asking Adam on the instant reaction show. So the kind of cool part, again, Siesta Key is about 50 miles just south of Tampa. So you go through St. Petersburg, where you got the Tampa Bay Rays, the Tampa Rays. They play at the Tropicana right there. It used to be called the Trop. I think it still is. And you keep on going down for about 40 more miles or so. And you're on Siesta Key, which is the Gulf side of Florida. So we were at a breakfast spot, Brandon, called the Broken Yoke, and it conjoined right to MVP Sports Bar. So we had this great breakfast. We had our Bloody Marys, the coffee, the whole thing already, and then we had to like walk. Oh, I don't know, like literally maybe 22 feet, and then we were situated right right where we wanted to be. Lovely setting, 78 degrees, a little bit of a breeze. It was quite lovely. Everything was set up for a great day, Brandon. Everything except for that darn first half. So.
Yeah, if the Seahawks just hold up their part of this, then it would have been a great day for you. Then Johnny Parmesan can keep both of his straps on his overalls connected. But, I appreciated the fact, and nobody saw these photos probably except for me, but it was Johnny Parmesan who was taking one strap off every time the Seahawks needed a little bit of a boost.
He was there for us, right? So the funny part is Johnny Parmesan's one of my best friends from childhood, and he's a huge Packers fan, and he came down for the trip, and he had Packers colored overalls on, and it was kind of like Major League. Remember when they get on that winning streak in Major League and they start peeling off the pieces of the thing? Well, John was given his own version of that. So every time Seattle was in need of a little boost, he would get closer to showing a little skin, and he was there. He was really trying to lift the spirits in bigging our Seahawks to victory. We fell a little short, but we thank Johnny Parm for his efforts for sure. All right, we always thank Hawk Van Dyke, which is of course Bloomy. He has 2 outs and an in out. That game played right into Shady's hands, which is Brady. The man can't throw downfield, and we accommodated him by giving him tons of 2nd and 3s and 3rd and 2s. Okay. I mean, I think he threw the ball. I know Bloomy has a real hate for Tom Brady, and I understand his hate. I would say Brady threw the ball pretty well. I mean, I think he threw the ball. Sure, it wasn't like 35 yards downfield, but he was routinely 15 to 25 yards downfield with plenty of zip for a 45-year-old or a 25-year-old for that matter. But before we go on to the other ones, do you share Dave's sentiment that Brady can't throw downfield?
I just think that he doesn't. We've seen him in moments really go deep. It does take a lot out of him, so I think he reserves it for when he needs to, but he didn't need to do it in this game. So I think that, yeah, I think Dave's right though, that why not try and attack more of the short stuff. That part of it didn't, I guess, bother me as much as just the defense giving it up on the ground.
I agree, because the other things, before we get to Dave's other stuff, the things that, I know you're not going to want to hear this, Bloomy, but the things that Brady did well was he was accurate. Like he was like old school Brady. It's just annoying. It's 3rd and 7. He's hitting Scotty Miller and Kobe Bryant's right on the guy. It's like they were covered well most of the time. Or it's a pass to Godwin, it's right on him, or a pass to Evans. There was that one play down the sideline, maybe a 15-yard out or so, where Woolen is right on Evans, but the ball's better, and that's it. It's a first down.
It might have been that might have been Godwin too, but
that was Godwin, because he almost does like a reverse push-up like on his head. Yeah, that was Godwin. You're right. You're correct. But it was just old school annoying Brady. Like he was just accurate with the ball, and that's because we couldn't get any pressure with 4 dudes. And we talked about that all week, right? So, All right, we'll get back to Bloomy's outs. He says, out unending Brady slobbering by the fanboy announcing team, unconscionable, which is funny because here I am, kind of fanboying a little bit about Brady as well. He does end with an in. Dixon was fun to watch. Shelby was great too. Agree.
Good game by Shelby.
Yeah.
Guarantee in the Discord. I think he probably recaps the entire game here. Out, offensive line play, defensive line play, running game, blocking, play calling, time management, field conditions, time change, bright lights, the shade of the grass. Team forgot to get off the plane. Team came out flat. They targeted Kobe Bryant, and for a good reason. Adams, gut, no energy or no urgency. No injuries that I know of. Germany doing a great job hosting the game. The crowd singing Country Roads and the laughing emoji. Yes, that was worthy.
Yeah, it was at least, it was a celebration. So it was kind of fun to see, win, lose, or draw, that the good folks who traveled, or near or far, we're having a good time. And at the end of the day, that's what it's for. We do have Flocktimus Prime also just above with it out. We had to play Brady in Giselle's ancestral homeland. He was bound to have a little extra, FU energy with the divorce and everything. So Flocktimus is, getting a little metaphysical here, saying he channeled and chunneled this extra, harumph that he might have had for Giselle at this point.
Yeah,
and it got taken out on us, which is wholly unfair.
I don't know if that would necessarily have. I don't know if Brady needs any extra motivation with that. But hey, if that's where he's pulling from, good for him. Mm-hmm. Michael Dixon's big balls in. Can't remember the last time we had anything beyond a 2-game winning streak. This was a fun 4-week stretch. In Michael Dixon flexing both nuts in the punting game. Sure. That Germany crowd. In Tyler yakking that first down, shutting up everyone about the mishap last week. And then 3 outs. As Amy in the Discord said so many times in chat, that slippery ass field. Yep. Out. Some soft ass penalties killing any momentum we tried gathering early on. And out. Why were the tight ends non-existent in the fourth quarter? See, another great summary to go along with Garen's before.
And I think the tight ends, the last part for me is like, it felt more the tight ends were non-existent in the first half, and we get the ball back in the
right.
third quarter, and it's
Will Dissly got it going in the third quarter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we tried Parkinson a couple times, so I didn't really see it in the fourth quarter. I even on the rewatch, but I wasn't thinking about it that way. But it was just more like, well, where were they in the first half? And then once they were involved, it changed our dynamic. It was just a half too late, which was disappointing. All right, we got PNW Hawk in the Discord. OMG, we have time. We have time to leave smart 3 and 3 out. Thank you. I will try and be positive, fellow 12s, and do an in. I gave an in to Metcalf for not letting an intense penalty affect his attitude for the rest of the game, which he got that 15-yarder, but still continued to play well. And he's basically saying, hey, he's still the big player for us, and he's our version of Richard Sherman is what PNW Hulk is getting at here, that he is intense, he is in the moment, he is a big personality, and you can go ahead and disagree with him if you want to, but he's just giving some love to DK for getting fired up. Yes, he get that 15-yarder that maybe he does or does not deserve, but still came back and played a real nice game, which is cool. He also says, we went to Germany, had a beer or two, played a competitive game, and promoted the Hawks. So it sounds like PNW Hulk had himself a little nice little Sunday in Munich.
3 feeling good in the Discord. That's our protector, Phil, saying cool 2-pack of screens to K9. Out, Waldron waiting far too long to involve the tight ends. Our eyeballs get a break from that putrid run defense they were just cruelly exposed to. And then out, leaving both Monet and LJ inactive. I understand why they did it, but it left our run D without solutions.
Very, very, common that Phil's going to come in with things that are, really, really nicely thought about. And we didn't talk about screens. Like we scream every single week that we can't run screens, but we did. We actually ran some successful screens. They were to K9. They looked good. I think one of them went for even over 20 yards, which is really just, we haven't done that in a long time. So it was super cool to see. All right, we got some from Josh DeHuman. He says, K9 still being involved in the game with receptions, even though the run game was not working. Agree. aside from the fumble, which he's saying he considers more of a good play by the defender than a mistake by Geno. I could agree. If you got to hold on to the ball, so I could probably disagree with that. That's okay. He says Geno had a solid game, showing how much he deserves to be respected as an upper half of the league QB. He says into the rookie DBs, they had to compete with the GOAT, who normally eats up rookies, and respectfully, they held their own. I agree with that. Out, the Bucs using run plays that teams did not have on tape, which made it hard for our front seven to defend against. Again, they went against some tendencies and worked for them. And also out, we could not run the balanced offense we like to run. However, an in to go along with this is that we still held our own, even though our run game was lacking. So lots there from Josh, but I think all some astute points.
Yeah, and just to back up the rookie defensive backs, I mean, looking at Kobe Bryant on the day, he did give up 5 receptions on 5 targets, 67 yards. So good for, what does that average out to? A little over 10 yards per catch. It's kind of what we've been seeing from him. And, no spectacularly, I can't get that word out, spectacularly huge plays. He did give the one 30-yarder. I think they pinned that first touchdown on him.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. When you're bringing up Cody, I was like,
no, it wasn't. It wasn't Kobe that they pinned the touchdown on that play. They gave it to.
Yeah, I think it was on Brooks. I think
they gave it to Jackson.
Really?
At least PFF did. They said Jackson gave up both touchdowns.
It didn't seem. I mean, I watched that play a bunch of times, and you see, Tariq doesn't carry over, and it looks to me like Brooks is supposed to have him, and just you're getting one angle of it, but it just seems the way that they're playing that it was supposed to be Brooks to carry that, and obviously nobody did, so it doesn't really matter. Like he's in for a 30-something yarder on third and 10. But I did wonder about that. I thought that was Brooks, and I think it'll be interesting to see as the All 22 comes out and people discuss it, who actually was at fault for that one, because I didn't think it was MJ.
Well, on the TV broadcast, they said it was Bryant because he was the one guy playing man while the others playing zone. And I mean, they can do that. They can change up man and zone and to where somebody does have man coverage. So it's so tough to know without being on the team and knowing what kind of defense was called. Yeah. So I know PFF kind of has to guess too. But I was just getting to the point of in terms of the rookies in coverage, Kobe, average day, kind of from what we've seen from him. And then I was looking for Tariq. He had 57 yards, 4 catches. So
yeah. And again, a lot of that.
Oh no, that was I was looking at that wrong. That they didn't give that to Jackson. They gave both touchdowns to Woolen. So they're saying that Woolen should have carried along. And really, if you think about it, isn't that how you should defend that play? If you got Julio running underneath, don't you think it should? I mean, shouldn't you go into man for that?
Well, maybe I don't know enough about the particular format. What I do know is that I heard that we played zones something along the lines of 80% of the time this game, which we talked about. We're like, well, we'd like to see more cover 0, cover 1. We'd like to see more press, because if you allow Brady to pick up our zone, he's been good at that for freaking 2 decades, man. So in that particular play, I don't know enough to say yes or no. He didn't. Right? So he's been really good.
I'm just saying, if you want to defend that play, because we're going to see it more and more,
yeah.
Who do you have defend that? Because even if you have Brooks pick up that receiver running underneath, he's going to be outrun. Even old Julio probably going to be able to outrun Brooks because he's running in a straight line, catching it underneath.
Yeah.
Unless you're right there to blow him up as the ball's getting there.
Right. And Cam Chancellor, he's not, right.
No.
So because that's what Chancellor would blow up, right, routinely. I think it's a tough one. It's a bit of a beater for us right now, meaning like it seems to be called against us with specificity to beat how we're calling our defense. And yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row. We will need to answer for that. Well, that'll be just kind of cool to see. How do we do it? But you've got D-Hop and Julio Jones, two very good receivers who are wily, and the good play calling, specifically designed to confuse us, and it did.
Jacob Haas coming in with the live update. The Eagles are losing. Yes,
Wow,
Washington has the ball in the red zone, already up 20-14. So
all right, go
could,
Commanders. Let's go. Let's
add
go.
to the score here.
Let's whoever's still around from that 72 Dolphins team, like I hope they get the chance to pop that champagne again. Why not? Because Eagles, screw you. How about that?
They don't deserve to still be undefeated. How about that?
I like that. All right, we are churning through. I'll go back to Car. She goes, not seeing much talk about Woolen getting yet another pick. Even if it was, she says, even if it was on an elderly man, if you throw it his way enough, he's going to make something happen. So just to, recognize 5th pick in 10 games. I think I saw a stat that he's like one of like 3 NFL players, and one was Earl Thomas, by the way, I think, right? But he's like one of 3 NFL players since 2010 to have that many picks in his first 10 games, which is freaking awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Derek Williamson out on Twitter at DerekW0, using that hashtag 3i30 out. The stats showed they were going to target Kobe Bryant's way, and they did again and again and again and again. Like they took a page out of Marshawn Lynch's book. Hate to say it, but Kobe, oh yeah, again and again and again. Yeah. Hate to say it, but Kobe has been a liability this game. And Kobe, also Jordan Brooks, they targeted him like crazy too. So it was, and then I think Cody actually wasn't. I think they gave a lot of receptions to Brooks rather than to Barton.
And that's always a little bit subjective, but yes, I saw that too. And you and Adam talk about Kobe Bryant's versus his kind of his ebbs and flows and ins and outs as a rookie, and I think it is what it is. In my opinion, he's played well and he has created those turnovers. And there's some times against a veteran quarterback where he'll be with good receivers, he'll be able to pick on a rookie slot corner. And we saw a little bit of that, right?
Sounds like Trey Brown is getting healthy though. So we might be able to, I thought we might even see him in this game, the way that Pete was talking about it.
I welcome back Trey Brown, man. I mean, we got rid of Sidney Jones. And good luck on the Raiders, right? He's over to the Raiders, which he'll have a revenge game coming up in 2 weeks. And with that, I'm very excited to get Trey Brown back. And I love how Pete framed it a couple of weeks ago, where he was like, he's like, do you remember how good he was? He's like, do you remember how good he was when he was out there? So Pete's fired up to get him back as well. Let's see what that can be as we kind of get now into which is what it's going to be down the stretch coming out of this bye, which is pretty crazy. All right, we got name cannot be blank on Twitter. He goes by @N8Shoots. Which is kind of cool. Nate Shoots out, not starting Monet and O-line getting 0 push, a bland play calling. He says Gino conducting a great 4th quarter comeback attempt. What'd you think about Monet, not being dressed for this game?
I guess I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference. I would have expected that Shelby Harris and Poona Ford should have been able to do and Al Woods, they should be able to do just fine with those 3. So I don't, Monet not being out there, I guess wasn't as big of a deal to me. It was just, they should be able to stop the run by the Bucs with the guys that they had. Yeah.
And then, again, that's why you said earlier, probably our biggest disappointment coming out of this game was the fact that we didn't, Rachaad White goes for over 100 and
I just don't think that Monet being in there would have changed it all that much.
Yeah, we won't know. So it'll be interesting to see if they over rotate, if you will, back to the Raiders. We'll see what happens there. I would love to see Miles Adams get his playing time where he's allowed to go be disruptive to the quarterbacks in passing situations. That's no knock against any other situations, but I'd like to see him out there. Like that Chargers game, he was in Herbert's grill a couple of times, in limited snaps. And I think that's what he can do. And and he almost just seemed a little misused this game. Didn't get opportunities to get after Brady. So it was just a little misaligned, in my opinion. But all right, we got one more from Chris Farnsworth. I'll take this. He goes, my biggest in for the week is the team not just rolling over after starting so poorly. They scratched back into the game. They're playing their asses off for each other. So that's Chris Farns War 14 out on Twitter. I think it's a nice way to end it, that we didn't go down without a fight. If we get that last stop against Brady, we get the ball back. Didn't happen that way, and it was a little bit of a too big of a hill to climb, Brandon. And with that, it was valiance, and we got to see much just a better second half and some good offensive execution. So even in a loss, we could just take what worked and then maybe just, I don't know, do more of the good playbook coming out of the bye, you know?
All right, as we bring in our closer, Hawk Van Dyke, to close this thing out with a big in. Five of the last 7 games at Lumen Field, with the longest road trip being the one to Kansas City. We should be well rested for the final push toward the playoffs.
I mean, that's fantastic, right? We're 6-4. It's still right before us. We're still in first place.
Win your home games. Win your home games, and it's 11 wins.
That sounds, you know what, Brandon? That sounds about awesome to me. I like the math. I like your style. I like your moves. And I think if we can just win those home games, we're sitting pretty, and we're still in a position where this team, I know this team can make some noise. This is a blip. It's a loss. We don't like it. We don't gotta like it. We're not supposed to like it. And with all that, man, this is still a high caliber team. This team can still go make some noise. And I think Adam said it nicely that, you know what, maybe getting, not hit down a peg right before this bye, maybe not the worst thing that could have happened to this team. Now maybe we can kind of just regroup and get things in gear to have a really, really strong end to this season and go make some noise in the friggin' playoffs.
I like the way that you frame that it's maybe not the worst thing, because I think what he said was that it was the best thing that could happen. And I can think of much better things that could happen. But yes, it is definitely not the worst.
Not the worst. All right. And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.